Tour guides of Reddit. What's the worst thing a tourist has ever done under your supervision? Hey guys, giveaway for you. To join the giveaway, you just need to join the recent Discord server we created only for you. One of the first 100 people to join will get something from our sponsor. Link in the description. Story 1. Led a scuba diving tour. While signing the safety waivers and all that, one very old man kept telling us that he had a DNR. We plainly told him that we are not bound to a DNR, and if he passed out for any reason we would attempt to resuscitate by our safety training. Pretty much all the divers are assuming this guy is going to kill himself down there. Dive happens. Pretty much everyone is hockeyed on this guy. I see him go behind a large coral head and lay down in the sand and spit out his reg. He is only at about 60 feet, so I grab him and wrestle him to the surface. He will not take my backup regulator, so I slam it against his mouth to purge air into his face. We get to the surface and he is fighting me non-stop, trying to pull all of his gear off. I throw a very hard punch to his jaw and knock him out. 3 weeks later, and he tries to sue my dive shop and myself personally. Story 2. Was on a tour in New Orleans. Guy gets drunk and basically makes a fool of himself and slaps his partner. Everyone else on the tour is like, whoa, not cool, take a hike. GF leaves with him. Next morning we're all on the bus waiting to roll out to the next destination and we're not moving. 30 minutes later we're all getting pissed off, then the couple get on the bus looking sheepish. By the next stop we learn the drunk guy ran a bath at the hotel, passed out and it flooded the bathroom, and 4 floors below into the hotel lobby. The hotel wouldn't let them leave without paying thousands of dollars. Karma for him. Story 3. On an open-top tour bus in London, woman tries to dangle her toddler over the railing, then starts saying she's going to complain to my manager when I told her to stop. Caught her doing it again, and company policy said that anyone endangering their kids like that was to be removed from the tour, so the driver had to come up and march her off. She still insisted she did nothing wrong. Like, she literally had the kid's feet on the side rail of the bus and was just holding him loosely round the waist. One low-hanging tree branch, of which there were many on the route, and that kid was gone. Story 4. They took a big crap in front of the group. So, we tour through streets and parks and make it really clear that the toilets at the beginning of the tour are the only ones for the first 90 minutes of tour. We get to a park about 30 minutes into the tour. Not a big park, mind you, it is basically a big roundabout with a swing set, bench and 2 trees. I'm in the middle of my spiel in the park when I see a guy at the back of the group step away, pull his pants down and squat on the grass. Of course I was stunned and lost my flow, which had everyone looking around only to recoil in horror as this guy drops a log like it was nothing. He wasn't even ashamed. Story 5. I work at a brewery tap room and take people on brewery tours. During fermentation, CO2 is produced and excess comes out through a runoff pipe and into a water bucket. One of the attendees asked me what the pipe was for, so I gladly explained. He then asked what would happen if he breathed it in disbelief of his stupidity. I told him he would pass out, damage his brain. He then proceeded to grab the pipe and take a breath. He was then ejected and barred. Some people are just beyond belief. Story 6. Tour guide at a university. We got a lot of guests that really don't want to be there. Mostly misbehaved kids from a poor area of the city. We toured at all times, even during finals week. As many may know, sound can travel oddly in lecture centers. Our lecture centers have windows around them, and like 6 kids thought it would be hilarious to smash on the windows. From the inside it sounds like gunshots are being shot from outside, or at least muffled gunshots. Watched 100+ students flee the classroom during their final exam. We got a lot of crap or that. Story 7. Not a tour guide, but I guess you could say I work in the tourism industry. I work ground crew for a company that does helicopter tours. Number 1 rule for customers is don't walk under the tail boom. The rotor will kill you and it will hurt. It's unbelievable how many people have a death wish out there. People see the fastest way to the other side of the helicopter and don't stop to think, oh hey, that spinning blade may or may not slice my whole freaking head off, let's see how close we can get to it. Story 8. Tour guide boat captain in the Caribbean. We had about 40-50 people on the boat. Got off. We would normally go feed swimming pigs, which someone would get nipped from them from doing stupid crap, but nothing too serious. Well, the next stop after that was another island where we would hand feed turtle, sharks, and stingrays. So we would tell the people to hold it with the palm open and food in the middle for the stingrays, and they would come over the top and take it out. The turtles and the sharks put it in the water holding it in the tips, and when they are coming for it, let go. Well, of course, this dingus decided he would be tough and feed this baby shark no longer than your forearm without letting go. Shark proceeds to bite his fingers. He screams and jumps up out of the water and flicks it off of his hand, pulling one of his fingernails off in the process. So that's one I always remember. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to help out the channel. But first, a word from our sponsor, Light Gallery. It's a game changer when it comes to illuminating your living space. If you're looking to add a touch of creativity to your home, this is the perfect solution. They offer a varied collection of high-quality illuminating objects. The last couple of days I had the chance to try out their realistic moon lamp. I have to say that my room caught a new feeling, and not only this, but this lamp is shown to improve focus, which was really important for creating awesome stories for you. Light Gallery offered 15% off if you use the code CARL7. But hurry, it's only for the next 72 hours. Link in the description, and let's get back to the stories. Story 9. This reminds me of when I went scuba diving. Apparently, there are people who can't swim that go scuba diving. One guy held his GF in his arms while diving. Like swam with her underwater, someone else has to manage your suit pressure and all that. I don't know if that's impressive that she trusts other people that much, or Darwin just hasn't caught up yet. Edit, this was in Thailand. You don't have to be certified to do beginner dives or try dives. Not sure what they're called. A certified instructor goes down with you. You just learn a few basic techniques and they handle most of the other stuff. But each instructor had at least 2 beginner divers they were in charge of. Story 10. I was on a tour of a small cave system somewhere in West Texas. It was really beautiful, and right after the guide told us how long it took for all the stalagmites and stalactites to form, she turned around to move on, and some guy leaned way over and snaps off a small one and shoved it in his pocket. I was so surprised I just stared at him, and he smiled and winked at me like we had really gotten away with something and I was a co-conspirator or something. Story 11. I was a whitewater rafting guide and we had a trip of about 5 boats. One of the clients only brought nice high heel type shoes. We require shoes on the trip, so that's what she wore. About an hour into the trip it was like 100 degrees, so the guests start a water fight with their paddles, and all of a sudden I hear this lady screaming, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! I didn't come here to get wet." On a whitewater rafting trip. Another guide later told me a little girl in his boat said, "That's my mom. She is always like this." Story 12. I was a tour guide at a historic village museum. The worst thing was the blatant doing it harassment by some older male visitors towards our female guides who wear the old-fashioned dresses. You'd be surprised how many men on group tours openly ask our staff members to show them what's under their dress, talk about how it used to be acceptable to marry girls under 16 and how they wish it was still acceptable, or make pretty gross doing it remarks about our staff members in front of the group, and when you would call them out on their behavior as being inappropriate, they would act like you were wrong for getting offended by it, and that we should accept it since we were demonstrating life in the 18th century. I heard and saw some pretty bad stuff which would make both the other guests and staff uncomfortable. It also wasn't uncommon for people to sneak away from the tour group to go into restricted areas in an attempt to hunt the ghosts, which are supposedly on the property. There's a reason those places are out of bounds. There can be irreplaceable artifacts we don't want accidentally damaged, tools, or the area hasn't been cleared by the fire marshal to allow guest access. Small things have been broken by people doing this. People love to get confrontational about being told they can't go into restricted areas or touch the artifacts despite all the signs hung up. Story 13. Was at a reptile show and they let out some mini crocodile iguana type thing. I think it was called a dragon something. Anyway, some kid decides to take his shoe off and wiggle his toes through the small rope gate we were against. Presenter says, "Watch your kid, these will bite." Kid removes his foot and immediately puts it back, and when presented turns around, wiggles his toes again, and this dragon thing surges forward and clamps down. Kid starts screaming. The presenter just looks on like, "Well, I told you so," and removes it. Kid stops screaming, no one says anything, and presenter moves on. That's what you get for ignoring instructions, and also for not parenting properly. Edit. Okay guys, I really doubt it was a Komodo dragon since the presenter really wasn't worried about it. Please stop commenting saying the kid is dead or something. As others have pointed out, it was probably a monitor, a Chinese water dragon, or a bearded dragon. It was big enough so a monitor sounds correct. I don't need anyone else to comment about whether it was a Komodo dragon and whether the kid got help or not. His sock almost came off and he got a fright. That's all, kid was fine. Story 14. Technically not a tourist guide, but I was doing a tour of our production facility to some people from head office. As we got to one of the pallet outfeeds, I mentioned the light curtain, which was a safety feature that stopped the conveyors once the light was broken. And so for some damn reason, one of the ladies decides to stick her hand through the light to test it, stopping the production line and also risking her safety by doing it in the first place. I asked her not to do that again and went about resetting the machine to start up again. No more than 3 seconds after doing so, she stuck her hand through the curtain again, stopping everything. She looked at me with the most stupid expression on her face as I basically said, "What the frick?" To this day I don't know why she did it or what her deal was. Story 15. I used to give walking tours of Old Vegas back in the day. During one ill-fated March afternoon, I had a group consisting of a mother and son, a British couple, a pair from Indiana, and a middle-aged man from China. Long story short, the Chinese man dropped his trousers and took a crap right on the sidewalk in front of the Golden Nugget without saying a word and carrying on as if nothing had happened.